we will be looking in depth at lead generation tactics for exporters. And the good news is we've just been through a massive piece of research. So all of the statistics are bang up to date. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of tools and tactics with you in terms of, now that we have a great profile and we know who our audience is, our A-listers, and we're starting to connect with them, how can we take our LinkedIn activities, and particularly lead generation activities, to the next level and start reaching out with our content and actually bringing in new interest to our profiles. Bearing in mind that your LinkedIn profile and your company pages are essentially a new networking group that you are setting up. So you want to make sure that it's a good network, it's vibrant, you are talking about things that your audience are interested in, and you will know what their interests are because you have done your customer profiling, you understand your target clients and what their wants and needs are. But also you have a good network, because when people come networking, they want to know that you've got something interesting to tell them and to share with them. They also want to know who else they're going to meet if they come and visit you. So your connections and your content are absolutely critical to get good results through lead generation tactics on LinkedIn. So there are three key areas that I'll be looking at this morning. The first is building reach and reputation. So now that you are an all-star, that you have got a good SSI score, and we'll be looking at those in a moment, you know, how do you now reach out and set yourself apart from your competition on LinkedIn and make sure that your profile is working hard for you and really visible on the LinkedIn network, and of course in Google, because LinkedIn is one of the best optimized resources on the web, so it will perform well for you on Google. And particularly as you are internationalizing your website, LinkedIn can be a real quick hit, quick win. We looked last week at how you can add even foreign language content on LinkedIn, but certainly make your international content more compelling for a broader global audience. So we're going to be looking at building that reach and reputation, and some of the new tools and tactics that are coming through now on LinkedIn. We're also going to be looking in depth, and this is going to be the bulk of the session today, at creating content with purpose, because LinkedIn is the Ferrari that you have parked in the car park, but actually what allows that to work hard for you is the content, and the content is essentially the petrol that goes in the tank that will actually drive your profile and ensure that you have visibility, credibility, and you are able to engage well with your audience. So let's take a look now at the social selling index, because you've had a week. I don't know how much you've been able to do in terms of trying to improve your social selling index. It's down on your checklist, which I will remind you about at the end of this session, to check it on a weekly basis. So how are you doing? Where is your score? And this social selling index gives you an evaluation of how your profile is performing in a percentage score. So we're really interested to know what your social selling index is, because it gives a good gauge of how hard your profile is working for you. It's across 4 key areas: making connections, finding the right people, engaging with insights, creating thought leadership content and authoritative quality content that people trust, and also building relationships. So really engaging with quality individuals that can really help you take your business development to the next level. So you get a mark out of 100, so 64% in this case, and it gives you a score in terms of your top industry and your top network rank. So the second metric is this aspect of All-Star, and your dashboard is private to you. Nobody else can see it. In the top right-hand corner, you will have either beginner, intermediate, or all-star. And when you have sufficiently completed and populated your profile with enough content, you will reach that all-star status. And we went through the formula that will allow you to do that last week. So keep a benchmark of where you are at. But the thing that I would like to really stress to you today is that if your SSI is above 60% and you are an all-star, your posts and articles on LinkedIn will benefit. It has a positive impact on the reach of your profile and your content. So, you know, there's a method and a reason for all of the things that I'm suggesting to you as part of these two webinars on LinkedIn. So getting that score up there and getting all-star status and making sure that you can make a good first impression is going to give you an uplift in terms of the return on investment, in terms of how hard your posts are working for you, and how many visits, connections, etc. that can bring you. So really important to make sure that you get these scores up and working hard for you. Now let's take a look at building reach and reputation, because one of the bigger issues on LinkedIn is just going connect, and not perhaps even understanding who you're connecting with, and possibly then not pursuing that relationship. Because the one thing that is completely clear on LinkedIn, and Reid Hoffman started LinkedIn off in his back bedroom on this premise, you're connecting with people, you're engaging with them. What value can you add to them? You know, what benefit can you bring? What have you got to share as the go-to expert in your field, as somebody who is a great person to connect with and network with on LinkedIn? So in order to build this reach and reputation to become a star, an all-star networker on LinkedIn, we need to understand, now that we've got that all-star status, how we can get our LinkedIn profiles performing even harder for us. Now, on your LinkedIn profile, you will notice there is a section called Endorsements, and these require you to list your skills and endorsements up onto your profile. And the thing that is really worth stressing here is LinkedIn displays the top 3, and then you can click on there to view more and delve into people's skills further. Now, endorsing people is really quick, it's a click, but actually these do matter. And not only do the skills matter in terms of building trust and confidence with your audience, it matters in terms of LinkedIn's confidence in your profile and you as a professional. But actually what we know now from the research of 4,500 profiles is the skills you put on there do have an influence on the type of content and the type of connections that will be made visible to you, and how obviously your content is shared. So LinkedIn's algorithms are looking at the broader context here. So what I'm saying is, take care when you decide what skills best represent your skill sets as a professional and what skills you want to promote. You know, what are the top skills that you can offer to your networks that can support you and your business in growing export sales. So take a little bit of time to think about endorsements. I suggest you have a piece of paper on your desk, jot down action plan and put down on there endorsements, go through, check them. Have you got the right skills? Have you got the right skills in those top 3? And what others do you have? So do a little bit of housekeeping, sort them out, make sure that you've got the most important ones at the top. Impact on content, impact on performance. Recommendations then take you to the next level. So when you've reached all-star status and you have a minimum of 500 connections, LinkedIn stops showing how many connections you have, and you reach a sort of a good level with your LinkedIn visibility and performance. A way to give your performance on LinkedIn a boost is to secure regular, up-to-date, quality recommendations from your network, and also, by way of being a good networker, to give quality recommendations to other people. So you will see here a section from my profile. You have received recommendations and you have recommendations given. Now, these take time to craft. They're quite hard actually to get right. It takes a bit of time to craft if you're doing them well, and you should. And I'm sure you expect other people to write good ones for you too. So what I recommend is not just clicking on here and going through the process and asking people for a recommendation online. Give them a call or ask them when you meet with them. It's much more personal and heartfelt and will get you a better result. And once you have their okay, you could maybe give them a prompt and say, well, actually, it would be great if you could mention this and this. And here are 2 or 3 keywords. It would be great if you could include those in the recommendation. Don't offer to write it for them. Honestly, the recommendations people write are going to be much more genuine and authentic and heartfelt than whatever you could write about yourself. So do let people write that for you. But I also think it's a great mark of respect, and it's a wonderful gesture, and it's also good for networking that you also provide possibly unsolicited recommendations for your network, and you write them just because they've done a great bit of work for you and you'd like to pay the compliment to them of writing a recommendation. So these really are a bit of rocket fuel for your LinkedIn performance and how it is performing for you. So received and given. Once you have their okay, you can go down to your LinkedIn section and ask for a recommendation or give a recommendation, or you go to someone's profile and next to their picture at the top, there's the 3 little dots. You can click on there or on the more button and it will say, ask for a recommendation or give a recommendation on the other person's profile. So there are different ways of accessing this feature. So to recap, recommendations, they're proof of your value to your network. They're a reason to choose you, which is important, that, we get on our soapbox and we tell people what we're good at. And here's evidence from other people to prove the point. And I suggest you have at least 10 on your profile. Don't put them up all at once, drip feed them in, maybe a couple a week at the beginning to get to a good level, and then maybe 2 or 3 a month, just to keep that content flowing. It should really become part of your process. The recommendation search is keyword searchable. So that section of the profile is important for your keywords. So make sure you reflect on that, and adversely, when you're writing recommendations for other people, think about what keywords might work well for them. And the recommendations are given priority in the algorithm, so they do have an impact. So taking care of this section will give you an extra boost in terms of your LinkedIn performance. Recommendations can only be given by first level contacts. You have to have that first degree connection in order to give or get them. But they do lend a huge amount of credibility and authority to your profile. And I think it's just for you to decide when to use them and when to ask for them and when to give them. But once they are on your profile, if you remember in your header, there's the little arrow pointing down more, and that allows you to download your profile as a PDF. So if you have got up-to-date recommendations on there, that PDF of your LinkedIn profile provides a really good appendix to proposals for you and the team, etc. So it really pays to keep this up to date and working hard for you. And you can decide on your process for collecting the recommendations. I suggest you do that in tandem with your testimonials for your website, and you have a process whereby you are collecting these on an ongoing basis. So here's the More button I was talking about. You click on there, you go down, request a recommendation or recommend someone. So it's really super easy to do, but always speak to them personally or on the phone before, or on a Zoom call before you actually go ahead and process that on LinkedIn. So here's a couple of LinkedIn recommendations. You can see that these are pretty specific. They are well phrased. They're not too long. They're quite short. Mark Twain did say, I would have written less, but I didn't have time. So give it a little bit of time and thought. When you receive a recommendation, you can look at it and request edits, and you are in control. You do not have to publish it. You can approve it. It will go live on your profile. You can hide certain testimonials or remove them if you find they're no longer helpful for you. So you are in complete control all the time, but you may want to go back and just ask people, maybe a spelling mistake or something. You can go back and ask them to make revisions through the system before you actually publish it. Please always go back and give people feedback and thank them for writing recommendations, because it does take actually quite a lot of work to pull them together. Now, the other element which is going to be very powerful for you in terms of how your LinkedIn profile is performing, and again, in terms of lead generation, it is part of that sales journey and part of the important process of actually building people's confidence in you, portraying you as the go-to expert who's generous and sharing all of this advice and content with you. But it lends a huge amount to authority and credibility on LinkedIn. So your featured section, you can put numerous pieces of content up there. And this featured section is really important. What we know now from the latest research is that it boosts dwell time. Obviously, you've got interesting content up there. People spend more time on your LinkedIn profile, looking at your content, engaging with you, and that dwell time, i.e. how long people are staying on your profile, is important to the LinkedIn algorithms. So the longer people stay on your profile, the harder your profile is going to work with you. It's like dwell time on Google. The longer people stay on your website, Google is watching. They're thinking, wow, this is a great website. You go up the rankings. So putting content on there so that people spend more time on your profile is a really important part of what you need to be focusing on. So the next aspect that I'd like to focus on is just different kinds of ways of using media to respond to and engage with people. And there are a few things here that are changing. You're probably all familiar with the ability to record a short video to send to contacts, or a short voice message, which I will show you how to do that shortly on the next screen. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily something you should use all the time, but sometimes to create a personal message and send it to someone can be a really nice touch. Voice messages, I would suggest around 30 seconds. The maximum is 60 seconds, so do keep them short. They will perform best for you if you do. You could actually record a video, for example, with captions. You can use things like Clip-O-Matic or Rev.com or iMovie to do that if you so wish. Remember, please, that the bulk of people actually watch video without sound, so having those subtitles on there can be really helpful, and it doesn't cost a huge amount of money to get those translated into different languages. So again, something for you to bear in mind. If you are using video in your rich media or in your posts or content, please do bear in mind that native video works best, or use Vimeo. For some reason, LinkedIn is not fond of YouTube, so we recommend native video. It seems from our research that actually native video has the best performance results. So just a tip for you there. The maximum time allowed for video, and again 30 to 60 seconds is the best, but the maximum amount of time for a video on LinkedIn is 10 minutes. And I don't really know anyone who would sit and watch a video on LinkedIn for 10 minutes, but that's the maximum limit. Lucy, I've just spotted your question. Thank you. Featured content. Can I give some examples of what works here? Yeah, you may just do the top 10 things you need to know about XYZ, or you might want to include a checklist, or you may do a short how-to video. You might do a little mini interview with a client or another expert or a colleague where you're discussing a particular issue. I was buying a new piece of kit recently, so I watched a video about two people debating whether to go Microsoft or whether to go Apple and the pros and cons of that. So it can be as rich and varied as you wish. I think doing your research on other people's profiles and also doing your customer profiling, it will give you a good idea of what works and what doesn't work. But start off easy. You know, don't go for the hardest things initially unless you're quite practiced in this. Start off with a checklist. Start off with the top 10 tips or the top 3 tips, or, you know, a sort of a short case study, or, you know, how you've solved problems or issues in the business, or a guide to doing XYZ, which always goes down well, if it's well written, obviously. But I think that type of content will work well for you. But you can include images, you can include presentations, you can do documents, you can do videos. So you do have quite a broad choice on LinkedIn, and we'll come on to that shortly. Video views and engagement. If you have videos on your posts, the views and engagement will go up by 20 to 40%. Fact. So plain text posts do not perform as well on LinkedIn. So that is also worth bearing in mind. And you know, just keep it bright and personal. You know, we know that it's the people-focused content, the heartfelt, genuine, authentic content on LinkedIn that works the hardest for you. So I would suggest that, you know, you really spend time on your customer profiling and understand what will work best for your customers. And, you know, be brave, but have fun with it. You know, that's what this is all about. You know, it takes a little bit of time getting used to this, but have some fun and just enjoy the process as you are learning. So this is the voice recorder. If you want to send a message in response to this introduction, for example, you just click on there, hold it, and forgive me. It will then ask whether you want to send it. You can cancel and record again if it didn't work as well as you wanted. And then you send that through, and this is how it appears on your mobile screen. So really very easy to do. The other feature which has been launched in the USA, because I'm on a number of developer groups, is the ability to record your name pronunciation. I don't know many people in the UK that have this feature at the moment, but this will be coming soon. And you can see here, you've got that little microphone next to your name. So if you are visiting Donna's profile, you can click on there and it will tell you how to pronounce the name. So a good one for you to watch out for, guys, that name pronunciation. For some of us, it's pretty easy, but some people, their names are more complex. But of course, when you are dealing in international markets, it can be really difficult knowing how to pronounce somebody's name, full stop. So I think that's quite a nice little value-added feature there for you. So I'd like to do another quick poll, if that's okay with you. So if you can just click on live poll, and I'd just like to know what you feel your biggest LinkedIn challenge is at the moment. You know, what is causing you the most issues, the most consternation. You know, where are you spending your time focusing on LinkedIn at the moment? And just share your thoughts here with me. Writing posts and articles certainly seems to be up there. Creating leads. That looks really interesting. Yeah, creating leads, writing posts and articles. I'd be curious to know how many of you are creating videos on LinkedIn and what success you've had with that. Please do drop some comments into the Q&A if you wish, or into the, well, I've got the Q&A open. It would be easier for me to see it there. Do let us know what success or otherwise you've had with that. Because video, the views last year, I would have been telling you, were less than 4% on LinkedIn, but it is growing exponentially. It is a significant issue now, and you do need to get your LinkedIn videos sorted out. So really interesting. Thank you for that. Lead generation still way up there. But of course, that lead generation on LinkedIn comes predominantly from the advanced searches, which we did last week, but also predominantly from content and getting your content out there and improving the reach of your content. So that is definitely where we will be focusing today. So do let me know if you have any questions on that section. Hopefully it was fairly straightforward, but happy to take any questions from you. And what we are going to be moving on to now is this aspect of creating content and posting with purpose. I think it is one of the hardest jobs you will have, actually creating content from a blank sheet of paper and, you know, starting to create posts on LinkedIn that are credible, that are trustworthy, and that are engaging and will work hard for you. And the last thing you want to be doing is putting a huge amount of effort into creating your content and creating posts, but you're not getting the results that you want. And this is something that we are certainly all focused on. We've got a couple of questions coming in here. Olusola, thank you so much for asking that question, and I hope I've got the pronunciation of your name right. All of the features that I am showing you are available to basic members. So these are all features, and I think LinkedIn has made a distinct decision to actually make these available to basic members, because they're always working hard at getting people to engage and enter into good networking conversations and discussions, because that's where the real value on LinkedIn comes. So they're all part of the basic service. My experience. So Nicole, elaborate a little bit more on videos on LinkedIn. Should we not post YouTube's videos to LinkedIn, but Vimeo instead? Yes, I would definitely use native video where you can. And for some reason, from the 4,500 profiles that were researched, and it was Richard van der Blom in the Netherlands who did this research with one of the local universities and a number of partners. So there's been quite a few of us involved in that. The YouTube videos just did not perform as well. It's an algorithm thing. So that is the reason for that. There is another question coming up here. The importance and benefits of Veronica, thank you for the question, of using videos on your LinkedIn. In your experience, where does podcasting rank compared to text for articles? I think, and I don't have any research results on this, so I can't back this up with evidence, but there are two answers to this. First of all, the richer and more varied the media you use, both on your websites, on your digital resources, but on LinkedIn, the more interesting, the more engaging, and the more varied your profile and content is, so it will work harder for you. Just text for articles is now really, first base, but it's not going to work as hard for you as rich media. So if you're doing podcasting and you're able to put them up there and include them, and I've got a few examples of what Gary Vaynerchuk's doing, for example, on LinkedIn using video, then I would definitely use podcasting. I think it's a great resource, and I think it will work harder for you for sure than just the basic text article. So I hope that's a good response for you. So let's dive into this aspect of creating content and posting with purpose. So you go to your homepage, and it is here that you will start a post. And you've got the facility to start a post, which is up to 1,300 characters, 280 appear on Twitter, if your Twitter and LinkedIn are linked. And I would recommend that you do that, because it does make for more benefit. You can also write long form articles. I will be dealing with those later. My recommendation is an article a month, and then backed up by posts as a starting point. Articles are indexed by Google, posts aren't. So, posts will work hard for you on LinkedIn, articles will work hard for you in Google. That is basically the long and short of it. So your posts, you can add images, video, and documents. And essentially, you click on Start a Post. It brings up this box. What do you want to talk about? And at the top here, you can click on the distribution of this post, and it will give you options. And I recommend anyone and Twitter, and you can go to the help section on LinkedIn, which I showed you last week, which is the little picture of you in the black navigation bar top right. If you click on that, it brings up the help section. You can check out there how to do these things. You link LinkedIn and Twitter, super easy to do. So with one post, you get the content going out onto both resources. The other thing you should please always make sure you have enabled is this add comments on this post, which is important, because as you will learn today, comments are the absolute rocket fuel of any posts. Comments on posts of 4 words or more will really help your posts to work harder for you and deliver better results. So 1,300 characters maximum, only 280 visible on Twitter. As you are writing your post, it will tell you when you hit the Twitter limit. So you'll be able to gauge well the sentences you are constructing, and where to put that pause for the first part on Twitter, and how to continue the rest so you get more content on your LinkedIn posts. So we need to understand how to post with purpose. You know, there's nothing worse than getting up in the morning and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to post about today? And last week we looked a little bit at this aspect of having a content plan and having themes and campaigns that you are running each month. and that theme will then have various points in it that you have used to compile an article that you could write on LinkedIn and also put onto your blog or your website. And you take snackable chunks from that article and you create a number of posts week by week with strong calls to action, so that those posts are going to work hard for you. That way, the main bulk of your social media activity and web activity will be around that core theme. Of course, you can do different things on different days. You don't have to stick to that with every post, but you've got a core structure there that will give you a forward plan, allow you to bring in contributors to help with the content creation, but also mean that you can set your plan up, you can work on the detail, you've got everything in place, ready to just go on the day. So, content is king, connection is queen. So with your posts, you are focusing on your A-listers. They are the people that you want to get your content in front of. And remember, when you first connect with people on LinkedIn, your content will be mutually visible on your home feeds for a week. If you do not have a conversation, share, comment, like content from the people that you are connecting with, their content and your content will disappear from each other's respective feeds. So if you are connecting with purpose and you are looking to build relationships on LinkedIn, you need to talk to each other. You need to share content. You need to go to their content and comment and join in the conversation. And likewise, you are encouraging them to engage with your content. That is essentially the whole point of LinkedIn. And through building that relationship, you are giving yourself the best opportunity to actually eventually convert that prospect into, at the very least, a brand champion, if not a customer or partner down the line. It is by far the best way to create leads, alongside the advanced search, of course, but content still plays a huge role in that. And I would recommend that you set aside time for content creation. I tend to do it on a Friday afternoon because it's a little bit quieter, but you do need to be in that creative space. So dedicate some time each week to creating content, both for your website and for LinkedIn. And think about it, get creative, get in the flow, plan it out, and then do the writing, and make sure you have a good bank of content that you can keep coming back to and repurpose. You don't have to write original content on LinkedIn all the time. And I think if there were one big tip to give you on LinkedIn and on content creation, it is that the authentic, heartfelt, genuine, personal content on LinkedIn is by far outperforming all other forms of professional, or shall we say more corporate style content. So people really want to hear from other people. It's this aspect of people do business with people that they trust. And do write to reflect your expertise, you know, genuine, authoritative, perhaps even unique content will work much harder for you online than any other form of content. So early engagement is critical, and I cannot stress this enough. LinkedIn's algorithms will be looking at posts and seeing whether there has been any reaction to that post within the first 2 hours. That activity in the first 2 hours of posting triggers LinkedIn's algorithms to come and take a look at your post. So if you are new to this and you're not quite getting the engagement, prime a few people, team members or whoever, to comment and start conversations on your posts so that you can start building up that audience and that activity. And you're making sure that the hard work you've put in to write the post isn't going unnoticed because it just sits there and the algorithms aren't paying it enough attention and getting it distributed to a wide enough audience. So it's a real algorithm kickstart, and we have different ways of engaging here. So you've got engagement, and you've got the likes, the thumbs up, you've got the celebrate, clap hands, you've got a new one, which is support, holding a heart, you've got love, you have insightful, and you have curious. And they're all pretty much of a muchness, but what we do know, and I think this is maybe a mark of our times, from the 4,500 posts that Richard van der Blom reviewed, the support engagement, the support clicks, the one holding the heart, is more popular and will give you an extra 10% boost to the post, which is a 10% boost above the others. So that is the one that gives you more benefit at the moment. So pay people the respect back and use the support one as much as you can, because you're adding value to their content. Shares are great. They do work. There are some limitations there, and I will come on to that shortly. But comments are absolutely top. If you comment, if you engage in the conversation, you reply back, you get that conversation going, it is absolute rocket fuel for your LinkedIn posts and will get you the very best results. You need to have a minimum of 4 words, so great post is not going to cut it. It needs to be 4 words or more, again, for LinkedIn's algorithms to pick up on those comments. And, you know, yes, comments works harder, but I would definitely recommend that you do a mix, and you're using likes, you're using shares, and you're using comments, just to vary it and make sure that you're using all of the options open to you, because the combination of all 3 is powerful too. But it is about entering into the discussion that really gets your LinkedIn working hard for you. So, create your own original content. And, we'll come on to this question of shares in a moment. You really want to be creating your own original content, not all of the content. We are happy for you to do shares, but we want to see some of your own original posts as well. It's important. This kind of activity will also help boost your SSI index, and just make sure that your LinkedIn profile is a well-oiled machine and is performing for you. We say avoid scheduling tools. It would appear from the research that if you do use scheduling tools, LinkedIn's not fond of it. You will get, on average, 10% less reach. LinkedIn is a bit selfish that way. They like you to stay on LinkedIn, and they like you to do the work from within LinkedIn. In my opinion, don't sell. Gary Vaynerchuk as well, the social media guru, is very much for this. He says for every 100 pushes, you get 1 pull. It's like TV without the adverts. That's how he feels LinkedIn works best. And let's make no bones about it. The last book he wrote, LinkedIn didn't even appear in there a few years back. But now he is very passionate and very convinced by the power of LinkedIn and engaging on LinkedIn to support your business growth. So definitely more social content, less sales content. So that means, getting a bit more creative, and of course, spending more time on your customer profiling, really understanding them and understanding what they will be interested in reading, and mixing it up. So having some informative content, some content that's funny, some content that's engaging, some content maybe talking about policies or regulations and what you feel is right and not right, using some case studies, awards that you or clients have won, maybe profiling the team as the sales content that you can interject in between that. So posts with links to good content will extend your reach by 10 to 25%, but LinkedIn is a bit iffy about posts, and there are right ways and wrong ways to go about it. It may seem like a little bit of a faff, but what we recommend you do based on research is that you publish your post and you then go in to edit it and you add the link after publishing. It's just a little trick that gets around the algorithms and means that the link is working hard for you and not compromising the benefit that you're getting. Because LinkedIn does like to keep you on the platform. So it will extend your reach, it'll extend the engagement, but add that after you've published. Go back in, edit, and then put the link in afterwards. And if you add 2 or more links, the views drop quite significantly. So what people have been doing in the past is putting the links into the first comment, and we don't recommend that you do that because the comment gets buried and the links get lost. So we recommend keeping it up there, doing it, taking 2 passes at publishing and doing an edit and adding your link in there. Now, likes are early reactions to posts. They're picked up by the algorithms, and that reaction, remember, in the first 2 hours will trigger the algorithms to monitor the content. They only have 50% of the impact on the algorithms that comments have, but nonetheless, that is still valuable and it's still useful, particularly if you are particularly pushed for time. And support gets 10% more by way of a like than the others. Reactions within the first 24 hours deliver the most benefit for the algorithms, again, in terms of search. So you're really looking at that first 24 hours is the time frame within which your posts will work the hardest for you. So comments on posts, minimum 4 words at least. They get double the views of likes, and they will get 8 times more views than a reshare. So, you know, sharing is not going to work as hard for you as comments do. That's a fact. So, you know, author comments, we know, also keep the conversation going. So if somebody comes to your post, they put a comment on there, do a reply, they may come back, do another reply. The longer you keep that conversation going, the more benefit you will be getting from your content. I mean, obviously, in terms of engaging with people and talking to them and networking, but in terms of the actual SEO benefit on LinkedIn, it's those longer conversations that will work the hardest for you. And certainly responding within 2 hours is recommended. The minimum dwell time on a post is 4 seconds. If people don't stay on your post for 4 seconds, the algorithms just don't pick them up. Posts with documents get a 40 to 60% uplift. Posts with video, a 20 to 40% uplift. Posts with links in, a 15 to 30% uplift in dwell time. And short text posts are underperforming by 20%. So that kind of gives you a gauge as to the impact that, you know, coming back to your earlier question, the impact that documents and video and URLs and such like have on the profile. Now, this is all about posts and how to get the maximum dwell time. But of course, the more content you are putting on your profile in the featured section, you know, uploads that you are putting on your profile, the amount of good quality content you have in your posts and articles, the more dwell time there is on your networking resources on LinkedIn, the harder your LinkedIn profiles and company pages will be working for you. Shares get less views than comments. We know that. But if the author comments and responds, you will get 3 to 4 times more views. Fact, because you're engaging with conversations, LinkedIn feels that will be of more interest and value. And, you know, if you can be bothered, it does make a difference. This is a little bit of a hack. Rather than sharing a post where, you know, the views and the impact is decreased, you could copy the post content, use that to recreate a brand new post, but make sure you always credit the original author and possibly even tag the author into that post. If you feel that that person will respond to you, that is a really neat way of getting around this lesser impact of sharing. And of course, gives your profile a bit of a boost because it looks like original content to the algorithms, even though you are accrediting the person who wrote the piece. So that's quite a nice hack for you to use. But please, best practice, always accredit the author. But keep sharing, you know, keep using a bit of everything. The algorithms are changing all the time. We're working on a LinkedIn book at the moment, and it's crazy because the minute you've written something, it changes and you've got to rewrite it. So, you know, these things are changing all the time. So just keep active and keep using things on LinkedIn. It really does make a huge difference. Now, in terms of resources and, you know, where can we get great ideas for creating content on LinkedIn? I've been using this one for years, actually, and it's just really visual. It's a really nice resource. I know it's been getting a few mentions of late, but I would suggest taking a look at Answer the Public. It has a free version and a premium version that you can pay for. And it basically, you type in, it's just hidden here in the infographic, but you can type in a word or a phrase and it will give you lots of different answers. You know, what are people talking about? What are they saying about it? It's just wonderful, wonderful collateral for helping you to create meaningful content. So what different kinds of posts can you do? So you may have a particular theme, you know, let's say we could say Brexit, or we could say, let's say international business development, how to grow my business overseas. You could write posts about giving people advice. You know, you have something to say about that, and you write a post that is just giving your tips on how to create business internationally. You could, with that theme of international business development, you could do what we call a reward post. You may be working with a client or a partner or a distributor or an agent, or people in the team have done a great job, and you write a post to celebrate that. It could be an activity post. You know, what are you up to at the moment? What are you engaged with? What's keeping you busy? What are you doing? Can be really interesting, particularly if it's something that a lot of people are experiencing and maybe having challenges or opportunities with. It can be something good to focus on. There is then the attack or contentious post. You know, I mean, the budget's probably a good one. You know, we agree with this, but we don't agree with these changes. And you could write a piece on, you know, the pros and cons of those different approaches. Or, you know, there's been policy changes. Red tape is always a very contentious one when it comes down to bureaucracy and such like. So, you know, you may write a piece that is just saying, you know, red tape needs to be minimized, etc. You could be announcing successes or sharing news, using the budget example. You know, a lot of accountants have taken the opportunity to do a roundup of, you know, the news and what the budget means or what's been happening in the last month. I certainly get regular updates from my accountant, which is great, just helping me keep abreast of changes. And acknowledgement posts, you know, social proof that people are really doing a great job and they're as good as they are. So just acknowledging, what people are putting in. And I think we've seen a huge amount of those actually during lockdown, what the NHS is doing and businesses, and, just the leaving the EU. There was a huge amount of work went on just trying to smooth the way for exporters to be able to trade goods out and into the UK. The other feature which can be really interesting is ask a question, and polls have been introduced, and I'm going to have a little bit more to say about polls shortly. They are an interesting feature. I think it's a great way of doing research with your audience. They're relatively easy to set up, and it can be a good way of getting that engagement. And again, mix it up, keep using different elements in what you're doing. And they can be, you can write pieces just to inspire and motivate people. And I think they're actually lovely ones to write. Keep the posts, a bit more personal and heartfelt, keep it to your experience and your expertise. And there may well be other examples here that you can think of. And if you have any great ideas, please do share them with us, drop them into the Q&A. Be really interested to hear what has perhaps worked well for you in the past, or what you're focusing on at the moment. So please do share with us. So let's just dive a little bit more into posts. I know there's quite a lot to share with you here, but this is really important stuff to get right, because we commit such a lot of time to content creation, and we want to make sure that it's delivering the results we deserve. So text posts, you've got posts and articles, short or long form. Image posts work best. Text posts are the basic, the bare minimum. If you add images, they will perform better for you, and we recommend 2 to 3 per week. Certainly, I would be looking to do no more than 20 in a month. 1 post a day is best. If you start doing 2 or more, that can actually negatively compromise the benefit. If you are doing a second post in a day, make sure that it's at least 3 hours apart from the first post. And just be aware that, LinkedIn's algorithms on your profile is then dividing its attention between the two, which is why we don't really recommend it, or at least leaving a gap. You want to get past those first 2 or 3 hours, so you get some initial performance on the first post before you publish a second one. We feel that 1 post a day is more than sufficient. There are some good resources you can use for images. I absolutely love Unsplash. They've got a fabulous selection, and all they ask you to do is to accredit the source. But you've got Pixabay and Pexels, and there's lots of others as well. And we found that posts with 1, 3, or 5 images work best. It's wacky. We don't really know why. Something maybe to do with how people's eyes and brains work, but 1, 3, and 5 images work best rather than 2, 4, and 6. The lovely John Aspirian has a good profile where he uploads lots of documents, particularly in the featured section. His was the profile I used in the example earlier. So document uploads are really great. And of course, the other aspect you can use to boost your content and to attract people's attention is to include tags. Now, I really caution use of tags. If people are tagged and they remove the tag, or if they do not respond, it can have a real negative impact on your post. So the rule number 1 with tagging is only use tags if you are confident that people will respond and engage in the conversation. So that, if it's an important piece, it may well be worth a phone call or a message. Hey, I'm putting this piece out. Are you happy for me to tag me? Can I invite you to respond or add your comments? Because I'd really value that. Video editing software, again, there's, and I've shared this in previous webinars as well, there's Quick, Capwing, Rev.com, Clipomatic, iMovie if you're on a Mac, just to edit and add subtitles. So again, good resources to have at hand. And, you know, we're all waiting for LinkedIn Live to finally arrive here. And, you know, I think it will be a great resource when it comes. So now is the time to get practicing on video so that you are ready for its launch. I'm going to come on to hashtags and spend a little bit more time on them. But essentially, hashtags are very powerful on LinkedIn. That is a fact. They make a huge difference. You can, in the advanced search bar at the top of your LinkedIn homepage, or even on your mobile device at the top, that search box, you can enter the hashtag and the word in there just to research and review how that hashtag is performing. You have to enter the hashtag, no spaces, capitals, no symbols, punctuation, and watch your spelling, of course. But it is really good that you do a little bit of research on hashtags and what works and what doesn't work in your field. The hashtags you will find on your homepage, bottom left-hand corner. You will see hashtags you are following, and you'll be able to go into that resource and do a little bit more work on that. I haven't actually changed that. That says 3 to 5 hashtags. We'll come back to that because we're now recommending 3 to 9. So I will amend that before the information goes out to you, but it's 3 to 9 hashtags maximum. And just please do ensure that you are using the right niche hashtag for your sector. So, and we'll come back to hashtags in a moment. So polls, again, I promised a little bit more information on these. They will give you 10 to 30% less reach than posts, but actually by way of researching topics with your audience and getting feedback from your network, what are your thoughts? What works well for you? Have you had experience of this? What do you think of that? It's great. It's a great research tool. It's great for gathering information and ideas, and it's great for getting feedback from your audience, but don't overdo it, I think is the adage, because ultimately the polls in terms of the algorithms doesn't work as hard for you. And just a recap here of what we've already mentioned, YouTube videos have 30 to 55% less reach. So use native video or Vimeo if you can. External links, 10 to 30% less reach. So if you're including links, do the edit hack that we've mentioned, that reach will then become a plus rather than a negative. And articles, the long form content, have 70 to 90% less reach than posts. However, they get picked up in the algorithms. So what I'm saying is there is a place for everything. Find the mix that works well for you and mix it up and use each of these resources to optimum effect. Now, posting time. I get asked about this a lot. And of course, you need to do your customer research because ultimately that is the only gauge you should be looking at. But the posting time generally on LinkedIn is crucial. And the research of the 4,500 profiles has clearly showed us that the best time on average to post is between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. during the week, especially on a Tuesday. I don't know why, but Tuesdays seem to be best. On a Saturday and a Sunday, you will get 50% users on average active and on LinkedIn. However, only 25% of them are posting any content at all and engaging in a meaningful way. So people tend to be browsing more at a weekend than being proactive themselves. So if you want your posts to hit, morning is definitely best. So, key takeaways from this session: get into a discussion. That is just by far the most powerful thing you can do on LinkedIn. Create content, create posts, create articles, but people, LinkedIn's algorithms want you to get into a discussion and to keep that discussion going. So when your posts go out, on average, it is reaching 2 to 6% of your followers, no more than that. That's the sort of first batch reach at the beginning of that post going live. So dependent on how many people are reacting, how much engagement there is, you can then super boost that reach to get out to more of your audience. But that is the first batch that your posts will be shared with by LinkedIn, and then they gauge the reaction to that to determine how much more oomph they're going to give your content, essentially. So ask the team to comment, not share, for 5 times more reach. How easy is that? Instead of just liking, instead of just sharing, prime your network and your people to comment and get into conversation. That will super boost everything that you are doing. And what we do know is if that you are posting less than once a month, your reach drops down to 2% or less. So LinkedIn, if you are less active, LinkedIn, you will see LinkedIn obviously is sharing your content in your profile less, but you will see your SSI index dropping quite significantly if you leave it a month and you haven't done very much. The good news is you can build that back up quite quickly. People content can get you up to 5 to 8 times more views and engagement because that heartfelt content works harder for you. And what we've seen coming through now is it's time to pay a little bit more attention to your company pages. They are being given more reach now. The importance and profile of company pages is certainly on the up and up. So time to dust those off as well and make sure that you get some good content and some good engagement with your followers on your company pages. If you have connected with an A-lister and you've not been able to have that engagement with them in that first week, or you've just drifted and you're not seeing their content anymore, you need to interact twice on separate occasions with their content, and then their content will start appearing in your home feed again. If you don't do that, these people just become invisible to you, and that may be okay, but it may not be okay. Now you know what to do about it. So I'd like to come back to this aspect of sharing posts. And when you create a post, you see here, and this is the mobile view. You have the option of adding an image, which is quite straightforward. And this is where you would press in order to take a video and post that. Now, it's not LinkedIn Live. This is taking a video and then posting it up there. But of course, it's valuable content to be creating. So do have a play with it. Do have a go, try it out and see what results you get. You've got other options here: celebrate an occasion, add a document, share that you're hiring, find an expert is another good feature. But there you will also find create a poll, which we've just been talking about, and share a story, which is a new feature, and I will come on to that in a second. That screen looks a little bit different on your desktop. Here you've got, as I showed you earlier, the different areas. You can add an image, add a video, add a document, and then you've got these other features down here at the bottom, similar to what we've just seen on the mobile. There are some differences between mobile and PC in terms of functionality, but essentially a lot of the features are the same. Gary Vaynerchuk is a good one to follow. He does some really energetic, successful content and lead generation on LinkedIn. So check him out. An entrepreneur. He's written lots of books on social media. Somebody I like to follow. And some of his videos, I think you will find really interesting. He also has gone live when we have this feature. Can't wait. I've put a few applications in, but not got there yet. He's obviously had a live three-way discussion, which is a great feature to do. Get some colleagues or partners or clients into a session and pick your topic and have a good, vigorous debate and discussion about something. And then you can post that up afterwards as a featured video. So stories. LinkedIn, it'll be, I don't know, probably about 6 months or so that these were first introduced. So the 24-hour story format following on the wake of Instagram and the like. So they're quick stories that will disappear after 24 hours. So they're meant as quick sound bites. They're really quite nice. And I think it's a good place to start practicing with your videos, because you know they're not going to be up there for that long. But they're available to company pages and individual profiles. You can view them, you can add stickers. There's quite a lot of neat little features on there that are quite intuitive that you can play with. And, you know, I think the thing to think about is they go out just to your first or second degree connections. So the distribution isn't wider than that. And another little tool that I found recently, which is quite nice, but I would say use it cautiously and sparingly in the first instance, is Lingo Jam, which is a fancy text generator. And you can use that just to jazz up some of your copy a little bit. But again, I would be cautious using that on profiles and such like. So just take a little bit of care. But we've got some really jazzy, fancy texts on there. So that's something you could take a look at. So your story appears up here on your mobile in the top left-hand corner. You click on there and it is very intuitive. To add a new story, you can add some content. You can put all sorts of different features and such like on there. So use it, have a play. It's a fairly safe space to start exploring your video content generation, and it's fun. You know, have some fun with it, enjoy it, and try out different kinds of content. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what if my posts don't perform? What can I do if my posts are not working for me? And, you know, I think the immediate things to look at, which we do stress a lot, is oversharing, putting too many posts up there. And I think, you know, balance is what's called for. So that would be the first place. If I were reviewing your profile, for example, and you were saying, you know, my posts don't perform, that's great focus, by the way, for the 1 hour session. If you want to delve into this, and we can work through and get you a plan sorted. But I would look at your LinkedIn profile before we join the session, so that I'm understanding what you're doing and how it's working for you. But oversharing can be a big issue. It may be, when we take a look, that you're never adding comments or insights. You know, you're reading the content, but you're not getting those comments and insights. So, you know, you need to be talking to your network and engaging with them, or maybe looking at the kinds of posts that you're sharing as well. It could be that you're just not sharing enough. You know, you're just doing a post once a fortnight or once a month, in which case, you know, the performance will dip as well. It could be that you're not tagging companies or people. And you can use tags, you can use hashtags. That will make sure that your content gets seen by them, and you can therefore get more involvement. So all of these little tools will help you increase performance. It could well be that you're sometimes posting randomly, you know, there's no real process there, because at the end of the day, the job of LinkedIn and other social media is to drive traffic to your website and to get that engagement. So you want to have a bit of a plan. You want to have your themes for the year, month by month. You want to have a content plan so that you can make sure that all of this hard work will pay dividends to you. So articles, let's just delve into that, and then we're going to have another closer look at hashtags. Articles, great for SEO. I recommend writing long form content once a month, and they can be really full of value, insights, and your best tips. You publish that one article, you can feed off that in terms of posts, taking those snackable little chunks and feeding off those, and keeping the posts going with a good, strong call to action and link back to the main article. So it works really well. They're generally best at 1,000 to 3,000 words. There's not really any limit on articles, as well there will be, but it's a big one in terms of how much you can include in an article. But 1,000 to 3,000 word articles work best. Do include images, videos, links, and other rich media content that you might have. And make sure it's a bit like email marketing as well, which I'll be talking about a bit tomorrow. You know, you need a catching headline. You need something which will grab people's attention, and you need a stunning image. It goes such a long way to actually engaging with people and getting viewers. The other thing I recommend you start adding in terms of best practice is your about the author section. That's a piece that you write at the end, and you can upload your picture. So this is what it looks like. This is mine, a little bit of information about me, how to get in touch, a call to action, and a picture, and it just makes it a little bit more personal. So that's something I do as a matter of course on any articles that I publish. With any form of content that you are creating, whether it's on the web or LinkedIn, of course, what you should be doing is looking to include a strong call to action. So important that you have that. You know, I've looked at your content, I've read it, so what do you want me to do next? And make that an easy process for your viewers, so that they understand how they can take that next step, and it's an easy process for them. Encourage comments, so ask questions, put things out there, you know, prime some people to get the conversation going, encourage the comments, and be clear about your target audience, and perhaps even name them in the article can be a good way to make sure that you're pitching it at the right people. Use hashtags for the article for sure. 3 to 9 hashtags work best. And as you are writing the article, you can save it and come back later. It's not like your other sections on LinkedIn where you have to save it, but it's then live. With articles, you can save it, come back later, and then when you're happy with it, you publish it and make it live. So I don't know if any of you've got any experience writing articles. Certainly it's great to have that content working hard for you in Google. But if you have got any thoughts, if you have had some good successes with articles, then drop a note in the Q&A section. It would be great to hear from you. So hashtags, and you know, hashtags are so important. So I've spent a bit of time on the latest research, and I've pulled together top hashtags, courtesy of the lovely Andy Foote, that you know, we know perform best. So here's our best advice on hashtags and how to use them to maximize your content. So fact number 1, they definitely influence the algorithm. They have a significant impact. They can be searched on in the advanced search bar and found in comments as well. So again, something else to bear in mind. They work no matter where you put them. If you don't use any hashtags at all, your posts and content will have 50% less impact on the feed. So quite a big dip there. So please always remember to use them. 3 to 9 hashtags is the new magic number. We used to say 3 to 5 and 3 was best, but things have changed and more hashtags are now available to you. If you use less than 3 or more than 10 hashtags, it will have a negative impact on your post or article, dipping by between 20 to 40%. So again, this is all based on the post research. And there are hot hashtags. Who would know? Hot hashtags. So if hashtags have 100,000 followers or more, they will bring the biggest impact to your content. So do your hashtag research in the advanced search box, follow hashtags that are performing well, and make sure that you are using them to optimum effect. And don't forget to create your own custom hashtag. We've got ours. One of mine is Business by Heart, which is a program that we run. So create your own custom hashtags. It could be something like Norma does LinkedIn, hashtag Norma does LinkedIn or whatever. Create something that's meaningful for you and unique to you, and you will reap the benefits. So this is where your hashtags are at the bottom of your homepage on the left-hand side at the bottom in the corner, and you can see hashtags you are following, and you'll be able to go in there and do a bit more exploration. So take a look at that, check it out. Now, what I have pulled together for you here is the top hashtags on LinkedIn as of December 2019. You can go and check these out online, but I don't know how many are here, 35, 40. There's quite a lot of content on Google about top hashtags on LinkedIn. I'm desperately waiting for the 2020 results to come in, which should be available fairly imminently. So I will update, and I'll no doubt be doing an article about them if that is the case. So these, remember, 100,000 followers of these hashtags plus will have an added impact and value to your LinkedIn content. So quite a lot for you to think about there. I think the final aspect I would like to share with you here is LinkedIn news. And what a lot of people aren't aware of is actually that LinkedIn have got actual physical editors that will do a human check on articles, on posts, on people that are engaging significantly on LinkedIn. I'm sure this is the beginning of becoming an influencer. You know, these editors must pick these people out. They have, what did they say here, 75 plus editors across 15 countries that create, curate, and cultivate content through posts, articles, trending news, and LinkedIn lists. So it's perhaps worthwhile going and having a look at LinkedIn news, visiting their website, taking a look at what they're doing and what's trending. I have had some interesting conversations with some of the LinkedIn editors. They're good people to connect with or follow and get on board. If you're serious about your content, you may actually want to take a little look at that. So that was a huge amount of content. What I am going to offer to do for you, because I'm aware that going back and watching the video and taking in all of that information, and I'm making no apologies for it being a list of bullet points, because there is some method in my madness. if you would like to have a PDF version of the PowerPoint so that you can refer back to it and use these PowerPoint slides about the posts with all of the information on there as a check sheet, then please drop your name and email into the Q&A section, and I will make sure that either myself or Amanda can send those out to you after the event. So hopefully you'll find that useful. And I don't like doing lots of lists and bullet points on LinkedIn, but I think in this particular case, it seemed the most efficient way to allow you to go back and use that as a checklist. So have we got any questions, guys? How are you doing? What impact is this having in terms of your own thoughts around your own LinkedIn content? Would anybody like to share any thoughts with us? I'm going to take a slurp of tea. Copy of the slides, Nicole. Pleasure. We'd be very happy to get that out to you. Nicole, are you thinking of joining me on a one-to-one? It might be a good idea just to get heads together and book in an hour's session to work through things if you think that might be useful. So how's everyone else doing? Any questions, any thoughts? I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Maybe you're typing things in. Nicole, forgive me. Thank you very much. Yes, Nicole's already booked her one-to-one session, so that's great. So, any other thoughts, guys? Anything else that you'd like to share or ask while we are here? Gemma, copy of the slides, be a pleasure. We'll get that back to you. Amanda, I'm assuming that you will jot all of these down.
Yes, I'm taking notes of these, so I will make sure that they're passed over. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Thanks ever so much. Hannah Louise, yes, thank you. I saw you booked your one-to-one this morning. They're going fast. Do hang on, guys. We've not finished the session yet. I've got a couple of other things to share with you, a couple of tools and such like. Just wanted to take a breather to allow you time to let it all soak in, because I'm aware that it is actually a lot of information here that I am sharing with you, but I'm making no apologies, guys. You get this right. This is real rocket fuel for your engagement and lead generation. It is going to benefit you so much. That is for sure. So
there's a question there, Norm. I don't know if you've seen that. Okay. I've had looked on LinkedIn to figure out how to add hashtags, but can't seem to find it. PDF of the color.
I've had a look on in to figure out how to add hashtag. When you add a post, Olusola, to LinkedIn, you remember at the beginning of the presentation I showed you on the homepage at the top, create a post or create an article. When you start to create the post, it will prompt you add hashtags at the bottom. So you just put hashtag and the word or phrase that you want to use, and that is all it is. Essentially, it's super easy to do, super easy to do. You know, there's no additional feature. You just add them in at the bottom of the post or the article. So let's take a look at the next tranche, and I'm a little nervous about trying to play this here on the platform. So you could perhaps, and all you need to do really here, guys, is Google Taken 3 Liam Neeson Vimeo, and it will bring this up. This was a stunning campaign that Taken did when they launched Taken 3. And essentially what they did was get Liam Neeson as Brian Mills to stand up there and say, I will hunt you down, I will do this, do that, do the other. And they got people to enter a competition, and Brian Mills offered to review their LinkedIn profile if they won the competition. It was absolutely huge. It's a really funny video to watch, so have a look at it. It's one of my favorites. And I've got a question for you, actually. LinkedIn hate fake profiles. They will not allow fake profiles on LinkedIn at all. They're very rigorous about removing them. They approved a Brian Mills fake profile on LinkedIn. There's only one other that they allowed, and I'm inviting answers here. Does anybody know whose the second fake profile was? Does anybody know? I don't know whether to tell you yet or whether you're typing. I'll give it another couple of seconds because there is only 2 on LinkedIn. The other one, guys, if you're not sure, is Santa Claus. Santa Claus, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Santa Clauses on LinkedIn, people working as Santa Claus at Christmas, but there is one sort of real fake profile that LinkedIn actually approved. So it's just the 2. So this was just to give you an idea. And of course, this was a massive production, but it's just to give you some impressions of the types of things that you can do by way of short video campaigns on LinkedIn. So in terms of your content, my recommendation is keep it really super simple. You know, produce the content regularly, and you know, have your plan. Essentially, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Your job as a content editor is to ensure that that content gets distributed as widely as possible. And in order to ease the pressure on you, as any editor will strive to do, you look to not just create, but also curate and recycle your content. So keep a hub with all of your articles and all of your content, because you can give it a different spin, give it a different angle. You can you know, get quite smart repurposing your content so that it has longevity and you're able to flex it for different purposes. Produce the content way before you need it. There's nothing, trust me, it's one of my weaknesses is, you know, producing content, not in a rush. I will do it with time, but then I end up spending evenings or a weekend creating the content because I've got a deadline to produce the blog or write the article or such like. So do produce the content way before you need it. And rich media, words, images, videos, infographics, animations, podcasts, the richer the media, the harder it will work for you. Now, I did share this tool in the first session, but I've had quite a lot of really positive feedback about it. So I wanted to include it again for those of you that weren't here the last time. We have this wonderful, wonderful tool called Crystal Nose, and you get 10 free goes on Crystal Nose. What it does is it adds a view personality button to your LinkedIn resource. And if you pull up a profile, as I have done here with David Sabucci, you can click on view personality, and it brings up on the right-hand side this quick overview of David's profile. So it works a little bit like psychometric testing. It looks at the profile, the content, the words, the recommendations. It takes all of that in, professes 70 to 80% accuracy, and they look at Myers-Briggs, they look at Jungian philosophy, they look at Enneagrams, they look at all of these sort of personality profiling tools. It really is wickedly good. And it gives you a summary of his personality. Now, if you don't know the person that you need to get in touch with and you want to engage with, this just gives you wonderful insights as to what tone and approach to adopt, how to message, whether that's by email or telephone or face-to-face, and how to get the best results from that interaction with this person. You can then click on here to get a full report, and it will compare your profile with their profile across all of these different, from risk tolerant to supporting, risk averse to dominant. It will give you an overview of where you're both at, you know, how alike or how different are you. Very interesting to read your own profile as well, by the way. But here you can see there's a lot of science behind it. They also give you prompts in terms of, I want to get in touch with David to do X, Y, Z, and they will allow you to create playbooks that you can then use as a bit of a script. So they will give you examples of emails, examples of agendas and words to use and phrases to use that will just resonate with the other person. So I think this tool is great for prospecting, great for generating leads before you make first contact with someone that you don't know or you don't know so well. It's even interesting looking at the people you do know. And it's also great for choosing the right tone and approach for when you're writing posts and articles. So have a play with it. You get 10 goes for free. I use the premium version and I use it a lot, and it's worth every penny. You know, it's just one of those tools that I would just always take with me. So check it out. I think you'll find it, well, it's certainly great fun. It's certainly really interesting, and I think you might find it incredibly productive for your lead generation activities. Now, I shared this case study with you last time, but it will have more meaning this time because John has put in huge amounts of work based on the science that we've shared and his posts and how they are performing. So he came to LinkedIn, profile was pretty average. I wouldn't say it was poor, but it was very average. And for a 2-month period of a concerted effort on LinkedIn, his responses to introduction emails went up 41%. He had a 221% increase in LinkedIn followers to the company page. He put 2 posts out that they were looking for distributors, and from all of the inquiries, they ended up with 7 genuine distributor requests, and his social selling index went up by 14%. But the increase in leads into the business was 241%. They got 41 new quote requests in the 2-month period. So my message to you, this stuff works. It feels like a lot of science, but once you've got these things embedded, and that doesn't take long, it really lends such a huge amount of value to your lead generation activities on LinkedIn. So pulling together your 12 minutes a day, which is what I recommend, an hour a week as a minimum. The more you do, as long as it's good work, the harder your LinkedIn will work for you. So in terms of your day-to-day schedule, check and respond to notifications every day. Add connections, maybe 2 or 3 more if you have time. Congratulate people, birthdays, new job positions, etc. It seems a bit corny, but you know what? It works, and I do that every day. It's a great way to just engage with a bigger network. I share a few words, a few sentences. It's just a really nice thing to do, and it keeps you top of mind. Respond to any acceptances that you might have had, you know, people accepting your connection requests, make sure that's done daily. You might want to run a Boolean search in the advanced search box. We looked at that last time, and just maximize that, and then check out the Who's Viewed My Profile. As a basic member, you get to see the last 5 people that looked at your profile, as a premium member, you get to see the last 90 days worth. So you get much more value there. So as a basic member, you need to keep on top of this. Weekly, I recommend you create 3 to 5 posts, and you use all of the things that we've talked about today to get those to work harder for you. I also recommend that you review the saved search results and you check out your SFI score and see what a positive impact all of this great work has on what you're doing on LinkedIn. And look to maybe in the first instance do 1 or 2 recommendations a week as well in this first phase, so that you can get those up onto your LinkedIn profile and improve its performance as well. Your articles, you want to be doing those monthly. Maybe you can mix it up a bit. Sometimes it's good to create a free resource, a giveaway, a handout. We talked about the different types of content you can do at the beginning. And this is a tip because you never know where Microsoft might go next with LinkedIn. You can request an export of your entire LinkedIn connections and content from LinkedIn. Go to the help section up underneath your picture in the navigation bar top right-hand corner. Go to the help section, how to export your connections from LinkedIn. That's what I call a backup, and I would recommend you do that every 3 to 6 months. Bird in the hand and all of that. And you never know, their pricing policies might change, features might change, and it's just good practice to keep that safe in your hands. Bear in mind, because they've connected with you on LinkedIn doesn't mean you have their permission to email them or to start including them in newsletters or make approaches. You would need to approach them for data protection permissions and best practice, but at least you have the data secure. So I don't recommend that you upload that to your newsletter or your company's CRM without it being very clear that they are LinkedIn connections. So thank you so much. Don't forget, more webinars coming. Please join us tomorrow, Digital Marketing Essentials. And then next week, we're looking at increasing sales and managing stress and overwhelm and how to deal with that. 7 top tips for business development from home. And then the following week, we've got 2 new webinars to be announced. Some may be recaps, some may be new content. So something to look forward to for you then. We'll be announcing that shortly. Don't forget the one-to-one session, the 1 hour free as part of the program, a virtual coffee. I bring the virtual chocolate biscuits, you bring the virtual coffees, and it's a good chance to get heads together to see where you'd like to focus efforts and how I can best help you make some inroads into all of this. And if you want to book your one-to-one session, and it could be it could be your team and me on Zoom. I'm really happy to do whatever works best for you. It doesn't have to be just one person. There can be more people on the call. Please email goglobal@weareumi.co.uk. And on the website, you also get access to the on-demand webinars as well, just by way of a reminder.